Hey everyone, it's Naiharo here, and today I've got my new Warden build for you guys with multiclassing. Now I am recording this during the PTS. I expect almost nothing to change. If by some chance some things change, check down in the comments below. I'll make sure I pin something with all the changes. And you can always go on the website and, I don't have them up right off the bat, but I'll have changes there, so you can always check it there. Okay, let's get into it. What's going on with Warden? Well, I've got the card here with some skills on it. You can download this from the website, but let's actually jump in game and let me kind of show you the rough structure of what's going on with multiclassing. And guys, I will note that, so often I'm like, hey, the card is the build. I've said that exact statement within like the last week. This is an exception, okay? The healers, where we're at with multiclassing, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of different things you can do. And because of that, if you watch the video, you're going to get, as always, you'll get more information, but you're going to get considerably more information than if you just look at the card. I can't put that much information on the card. It's just physically not possible. So you really want to watch the video if you really want to fully understand multiclassing, what you can do with your Warden, what all the options are. All right. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I'm not trying to make you watch the video. If you just want to reference the card, go for it. But you just realize you're going to be missing a lot of info. All right, here we are. We're in game. So first off, green balance. It's just an amazing tree. It provides us with budding seeds, which is one of the best heals in the game for a healer, just generally in PvE. And, we also have a couple of other options. Enchanted growth could be useful if we need to provide minor intellect or minor endurance to our group. We also have our enchanted forest up here, and this is really useful for certain heal checks, primarily in trials for Zamaja during the Baneful and Execute. This is an amazing, ultimate to be able to use, especially for newer healers. Do you need it? No. Is it super helpful and useful to have? Absolutely. So it's really nice that it's here. We also have quite a few passives in this skill line. So whenever you heal yourself or an ally that's under 40% health with a green balance ability, you gain major mending, which increases your healing done by 16%. So any healing check, guys, you're always going to be dropping budding seeds on them. So like Tombs and Sunspire, as we just talked about, Cloud Rest and Baneful, there's a handful of dungeons, so usually the heal checks aren't nearly as bad there, but accelerated growth is great for that. We also have Nature's Gift. Whenever we heal an ally with a green balance ability, we gain magicka or stamina back, whichever resource is lower, and that can happen once every second. So this is just really nice for our sustain. We also have Emerald Moss here, increase your healing done with green balance abilities. We're not going to have that many. It'll mostly be budding seeds, but it's a nice to have. And then Maturation. When you activate a heal on yourself or an ally, you grant them minor toughness, increasing their maximum health by 10% for 20 seconds. This ability here, an extra 10% health, absolutely crucial, and you'll always want it in a group, okay? So that's really love the skill line. If you are not on a Warden, guys, if you're playing some other base class, you can absolutely just have one person spec into green balance here, grab budding seeds. This is a great skill line for really any healer, and so, there you go, I guess. Now, the second skill line. Typically, since we're on a Warden, we're the only class that can have, two skill lines from the Warden. Typically, you'll have this probably on the Warden. It doesn't have to be. If you were not on a Warden as your base class, and neither one of the healers were in a particular trial, one of you could grab Green Balance, the other one could grab Winter's Embrace, and you're good to go. Okay, there's no reason, really, why this needs to be on one healer. But if you're already on a Warden, which a lot of people already have, you're absolutely going to want Expansive Frostcloak. So this further reduces the party's damage taken by about 10%. This is useful in dungeons, useful in trials, useful everywhere, okay? So that's why we want this. Honestly, it's mostly for Expansive Frostcloak. If we have a tank that is using this ability, or somebody else for some reason that's using this ability, we actually don't need in the skill line. All these other buffs, yes, Glacial Presence helps increases our chance of proccing Chilled for, Brittle. Yes, it can increase our armor, which we don't really need as a healer. There's other things, reducing our damage taken, increasing our block, increasing our frost damage. Really, the only other use for this besides Expansive Frostcloak is if you wanted to partially DD, if you want to do some damage. You could do the other Morph of Polar Winds here, which would provide a little brittle and damage over time while you're in melee. You could also choose here our Winter's Embrace. Really nothing else probably, but those two skills by themselves and the extra 10% cold damage are significant. And this will also help us with our Wall of Elements. We can do an Ice Wall on our back bar, and it'll help it do more damage. So that's the main reason here, but anybody can grab this, okay? Now for our third skill line, right? The multi-classing portion of this, what are we going to do? Well, we have options. And honestly, for healers, you can do pretty much whatever you want. And a lot of times you might be asked to run something specific by your raid lead as we move forward. Now, if you're in a dungeon, totally different situation, right? So what I'm going to do is start with a couple of, skill lines that I personally recommend. I think will be very popular. And then we'll talk about the rest of them, okay? Because there's tons of options out there. So first up here, if we go with a Nightblade, the Shadow skill line, the main reason we're going to choose this is one, for an extra heal over time with Refreshing Path. Refreshing Path will also provide our group with those minor buffs, minor endurance and minor intellect for those recoveries, including ourselves, as well as major expedition, which can be really useful in a lot of situations. It's a great heal, works really well. It's fairly short-lived, but it's just generally helpful, okay? And then the main reason that you might want to spec into this, besides the active skills, is Refreshing Shadows here. This increases our health, magic, and stamina recoveries by 15%. Massive, massive recoveries. If you're someone who's running, maybe you're running Spoiler of Ruin, you've got reduced recoveries, whatever the reason, having extra recoveries could be really nice. And then, again, Refreshing Shadows would be our active skill here. Do we have some other passives? Shadow Barrier gives us some major resolve. That's just kind of a nice to have, reducing our damage taken. But we should already have it anyways if we're in a trial. So it's really just for dungeons there. Those random normals where the tank isn't really tanking. Increasing our max health here with Dark Vigor, we don't need it. And then Dark Veil, increasing duration of our non-invisibility shadow things, just makes this Refreshing Path go from 10 seconds to actually a 12-second duration once if we max it out there. So that's all that does. Nice to have skill line. Hey guys, this is a good point to interrupt. If you like what you're seeing, yes, like and subscribe. But if you really like it, share it with somebody else. A lot of people don't know that sharing a video is one way you can really show the algorithm that, hey, this is a video. Not only is it good, it's so good it's worth sharing. And if you really like what you see, consider becoming a channel member. It's the best way to help support me and what I do and allow me to make more videos just like this. It starts for as little as $1 a month. And, you get some minor perks from it. It's not a whole lot, but it's just a way of supporting the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. All right, back to the rest of the video. Now, still sticking with the Nightblade theme, we could also go with siphoning here, and I'll just go ahead and swap it out. And here, the reason you might want to choose a siphoning skill line for the Nightblade is because of Catalyst. Catalyst has been bumped. It used to give 20 ultimate every time you drink a potion. Now it gives 30. So if you want more ulti generation, it's a good way to go. The other thing, and this is actually going to be, I think, fairly important for pugging dungeons or really dungeons in general, or for the new trial, okay? Funnel health. This actually, I was sleeping on this, guys, and somebody actually left a comment. It was a rude comment. I don't care. Doesn't hurt my feelings. But they were like, funnel health is amazing. It's better than radiating regen. Why the hell didn't you mention this in your Nightblade video? And you know what? They're 100% right. They're 100% right. I historically have probably undervalued, if I'm being honest, radiating regen here, just because I think people overuse it so often. It's a good skill in certain situations. Funnel health is an even better skill that does basically the same thing. You have to hit an opponent, but it pretty much does the same thing, and it's a little bit better. So funnel health is a great option. In the new trial, guys, it's going to be crazy in pugs with people spread out everywhere. You're going to need more sticky hots than funnel health, than radiating regen, and I think funnel health is it. It's a good option, okay? Other things you can do, you can go with siphoning attacks here if you wanted to. I don't think typically we're going to do this. It's another way of getting a lot of recoveries. So siphoning attacks, whenever we cause damage, which will always have our wall of elements down, we regenerate 200 magicka and stamina every second. So great for recoveries, and we also heal for about 1,400. Nice heal on ourselves, but it's mostly for those recoveries. And then if we ever want to cast this, it will cost health, but it'll give us back 2,600 magicka and stamina. Situations where we're using a lot of stamina costing abilities, situations where we're just struggling with our sustain, this will help us out greatly. So that's another reason you might have this. But I think the main reason you would take this skill line is for the Catalyst passive here, if you need more ultimate, which I don't necessarily think you need. Now, here's a question for you. And you know what? Is there anything else here? Drain power. Everybody always looks at it. I've looked at it and been like, man, I want this to be better than it is with Sap Essence. It just doesn't heal enough, guys. If you're DPSing, partially DPSing in a dungeon or something, yeah, it could be great to help get your team through content, but it's generally speaking not that great of a heal. It's just kind of when you don't need to heal that much, it works well. I would also point out that Healthy Offering is a great single target heal. It's really cheap, and it gives you minor mending, and it heals better than a combat prayer. So for tombs in Sunspire, I often use Healthy Offering. It's a great single target spammable, but usually you don't need single target heals, so it's like, it's not that great overall. That's pretty much it for Siphoning skill line here. What else do we have? Well, we've got a lot of options. Let me expand them all here. First off, from the DK skill line, nothing really that I'm not saying, guys, whenever I say there's nothing here, I don't mean that there's nothing, period. I mean that within reason, there's nothing there. Is there some build you could do? Is there some reason you could grab an Ardent Flame ability and do something with Inferno, for example? Yeah, absolutely. Is it really worth it? Probably not. You're really doing that just because you want to. And hey, if you're doing something because you want to, absolutely, go for it. Do it. I encourage you to. But it's not something I'm going to provide really a guide on. Just kind of look, read the passives, decide for yourself what you want to do. Okay, other skill lines that could be interesting. Well, I think, honestly, probably Daedric Summoning. And the only reason I say this is because I think that there is a situation, call me crazy, where you might want to run a Storm Atronach. Now, I don't know what's going on with the meta right now as far as group optimization. I don't think this is going to be the case. I think it's a really good skill line for tanks, but I just want to mention it here because you might be asked to grab this for the Storm Atronach. Dropping this Atronach can provide the group with major Berserk, which increases their damage done by 10%. It's only for 10 seconds, but I think it's pretty hooked up. Also, if we look down here at Power Stone, and you know what, let me just slot this in so we can actually see the full benefit. If we look at Power Stone, it reduces the cost of our ultimate by 15%, allowing us to cast that even more. So it's pretty nice just for the passives here. You know, we'll also note we get some recoveries with Rebate, with Daedric Protection. It doesn't really matter, reduces our damage taken. And then Expert Summoner, again, it'll increase our max mag and stam, which will provide us a little bit more heals, but it's not really that big a deal. Not a reason, honestly, to take the skill line more generally. Other things here, some people might point out that Storm Calling, yeah, you could hop in here and maybe, Surge. There's a morph of this that will provide some healing in an AoE, and actually, again, we'll just pop into it real quick. That's true. Power Surge here will heal people similar to what we did with our, rating regen. It will heal people in an area. It works a little bit differently. It's a burst heal once every 3 seconds. Can actually be incredibly effective, guys. Just to point that out. I don't think it's worth going into this whole skill line just for this one skill. So in a dungeon, maybe more so. You could go Lightning Form as well to do a little bit of damage, give yourself some tankiness if you're not running Winter's Embrace already. Sure, there's some stuff you could do here, but I don't necessarily think for a pure healer it's really worth it. Okay, that's the point I'm getting at. Not that any of it's bad. I just don't think it's that worth it. Okay, for Templars. Guys, I just don't think Templar is that worth it. Okay, we can walk through here. So the main thing, if you're looking at Adric Spear here, is going to be shards. So if you chose shards, it's really nice. It basically works like a orb. However, they share the same cooldown. The only benefit is that you can throw it at somebody at range. So this can be really good in places like Dreadcell Reef when your main tank is off to the side and you want to hit them with that, synergy. You can throw it to them. It's really good for that. You could also throw it in group, give the group some synergies. Yeah, it's okay. Sure, there's some passives. I don't think most of them really do anything, so I just don't think it's really worth it. If you wanted to go with, you wouldn't really go with Dawn's Wrath. There's nothing really much here for us, so you wouldn't go there. And then Restoring Light, that's kind of the healing tree, if as much as there is one. The problem with Templars right now is like things like Healing Ritual and things like Rite of Passage, both of these, and we'll go ahead and slot this again, both of those are these are PvP skills. Like Healing Ritual works well in a pug maybe when people are spread out and not stacking, but you don't want to use this in any organized group because it basically does the same thing as a Combat Prayer, and Combat Prayer is a little bit better. That's all it comes down to. So it's nice in PvP, sure, but it's not really for PvP. Now, you could do Rush Ceremony here if you wanted a like Breath of Life or even Honor of the Dead if you wanted a big single target heal. You don't really need it. We're going to see a better skill line to do something like that. If you wanted Restoring Aura, you could do Radiant Aura to provide those minor buffs, those minor intellect and minor endurance, those recoveries for your group. That could work. It's a decent skill. Also, we have our extended ritual here. Massive. It's huge. It's like the biggest heal in the game, biggest AoE in the game. I think it's static. It's huge. 24 meters across and provides a pretty good heal. provides a synergy for the group. Nice to have. If you slotted into this, this would be the one skill I think you would definitely run on this skill line. Everything else is situational or not really worth running typically. Even our Ruin Focus, which gave us a little bit of recoveries, we just don't need it, I don't think. There's better ways to get those recoveries. Yes, we get Mending, increasing our healing done in proportion to the target's, damage taken. Sacred Ground here will give us minor Mending, increasing our healing while we're in our, ritual, our extended ritual area, and for several seconds after leaving it. So increases our healing. That's great. Light Weaver is really new and really different. It allows you to channel an ability and be considered blocking, as well as giving us a little bit of ulti-gen when we heal low health allies. It's cool. Master Ritualist, maybe for dungeons to increase our resurrection speed. If we have people that we can't keep alive, they just want to stand in red. It's a nice to have, but overall, I really don't think there's anything super compelling about anything on the Templar skill line. Now let's move on to Necro. Necro, there's several things here, okay? So first off, Gravelord. The reason we might spec into Gravelord is because our Colossus. If we wanted to add a Colossus to our group for some reason, we could grab it here. That would be the main reason. If we wanted to spec in a Bone Tyrant, why would we do that? Well, the main reason would be for ulti-gen, which I don't think we're going to need. There's a lot of ways we can get really good ulti-gen, but Necrotic Potency. Whenever there's a lot of corpses on the ground, in trash, it allows us to just grab a ton of ultimate. The problem here is really nothing else in this tree is amazing. The Agony Totem here is pretty useful for a mag costing skill that provides a synergy and gives minor protection, reducing our damage taken by enemies inside the area by 5%. There's really only two great sources of that. One is Agony Totem, and the other one is going to be Circle of Protection, which is a stamina costing heal. It heals really well. The other skill, rather, but Agony Totem costs mag and gives that synergy, so it's kind of nice. Other than that, you could look at Empowering Grasp here for the major maim that it applies. Is it worth it? It helps you generate a corpse, which you could use for your necrotic potency. Maybe. I kind of doubt it. You're really gonna be struggling for skills to put on your bar, like room to put skills on your bar. But if you're just going for pure ulti gen and you already got necrotic potency, maybe you throw in Empowering Grasp as well. If you look down here at the various passives, we're gonna see that these are really geared towards tanking. So we do get a bit of extra recoveries whenever somebody dies in combat. Can be useful, particularly in dungeons and in trash. We also have Disdain Harm, reduces our dot damage taken. Not necessarily something we as a healer are really going to need. We also have Health Avarice. So it increases our healing received, which again, we're not really going to need. It's mostly a tank ability. And then Last Grasp, which is going to increase our survivability by giving us a little bit more max health. Now, the real skill line here, Living Death. Living Death is where it's at, guys. Living Death is great. People far underestimate how good Living Death is. First up, we have the Necro Res. If we want it with Renewing Animation, either Morph really is fine. Can res up to 3 allies. Absolutely game changer. You can save groups with this. It's better on a tank because sometimes you as a healer die through no fault of your own. The boss turns and hits you, right? What are you going to do? You don't know you're dead until you're already, you're about to die until you're already dead, right? If you want a single target heal, Resistant Flesh is great. It's a big burst heal. Basically does the equivalent of Breath of Life. So very similar to that in a giant single target heal. Incredibly expensive, but it does a really good job. We also have Expunge and Modify here, which can reduce, it removes negative effects. It's only on us, not necessarily that useful. It's mostly a tank ability, but I just want to mention it. Life Amid Death. This is a great skill. Both morphs, both Renewing Undeath and Enduring Undeath, are both great. What Renewing Undeath does, if it consumes a corpse, it provides a purge. It'll cleanse people of dots and other things. This is really great in the few places where you actually want to purge abilities. It's S tier, works really well, and it provides a good heal. It's a burst heal up front and then a bit of heal over time for 5 seconds. Enduring Undeath. Each corpse it consumes adds another 5 seconds to the duration. It doesn't cleanse, but this can last up to like 25, 30 seconds. Yeah, up to 30 seconds. It's a great heal, guys. It's just a really good heal over time and works really well. You do need to consume corpses, but you want to do that anyways. We'll go into that more. Spirit Mender. Spirit Mender is where, if we're speccing to the skill line, we're almost always going to want to use this in most situations. If we have a bunch of ads dying all the time, maybe we don't need to. We have enough corpses, but it's a great way to generate corpses since, again, we can only grab one skill line from the Necro, and we're going to need corpses. Restoring Tether, guys. Braided Tether is a great ability. Really good heal. It grabs onto a corpse, and then it draws a line towards you. Ideally, that's kind of in front of you, and then it draws a line straight through the group and also heals around you. It's going to provide a really good heal, guys. It's situational, not always. Group needs to be stacked up, generally speaking, for this to be good for you, but it's a really good heal. Also, if you're doing stuff where you're as the healer are taking a lot of damage, this can be really good because it's always on you as long as you've got the skill up there, as well as, intensive mender as well, okay? So we've got, 5 out of 6 skills here that are actually useful on the Living Death skill line. It's a really great skill line, okay? Don't get me wrong here. It could be something that you might want to spec into instead of the Nightblade. The biggest problem you're going to have with doing that is where the hell are you going to put all these great skills? Like, probably not always going to be running Enchanting Growth, not always you're going to be running Radiating Regen, so you got 2 flex spots on your front bar. You're always going to be running Energy Orb. You're always going to be running Echoing Vigor. You're always going to be running Frost Cloak, or most likely, and somebody needs to be running Overflowing Altar, and you're always going to be running Wall, or just about always. You only got a couple of spots left, right? It just kind of depends, so you might be limited by your bar space by running this Necro skill line. And honestly, if you took the 3 best healing classes, or any 3 healing classes, you're going to run into this bar space issue. We'll talk more about why that is in a little bit, okay, once we're done here. So let's talk about these passives here, because these are really interesting. Curative Curse. Whenever you have a negative effect on you, increase your healing done by 12%. This happens more often than you might think. It's not always the most crippling negative effect, but a lot of times you do have a negative effect. 12% is massive. That's huge. Near-death experience. While you have a Living Death ability slotted, your critical strike chance with all healing abilities is increased by 12% in proportion to the severity of the target's wounds. So in heal checks, you're going to be getting close to that 12% than not. Nice to have. Corpse consumption. Whenever you consume a corpse, you generate 10 ultimate. This can happen once every 16 seconds. So that means, on average, every 48 seconds, you can generate 30 ult. Well, that's basically the same as the Nightblade, right? So they can generate 30 ultimate every 45 seconds. Pretty much the same thing, as long as you're actively consuming corpses. Is it going to be exactly the same? No, because you're not always going to do it right on cooldown. But as long as you're using your Intensive Mender and then using either Enduring Undeath or Braided Tether to consume that corpse, or even if you don't have Intensive Mender and you have corpses to consume, you're going to be generating quite a bit of ult with this skill line. So it's nice to have. Undead Confederate, this just gives you extra recoveries while you have some sort of summoned, and for us it's going to be our Intensive Mender while we have that up. That's all that is, okay? So Living Death, a great option there. Again, third option, or maybe fourth or fifth option, I don't even know at this point. Last option, let's say that, Curative Rune Forms. Now this is a really good skill line, okay? And I could see, just like Green Balance, that so many people might want to spec into this. Why would they want to do that? Well, the beam, guys. People make fun of the beam. They say it's not good. They have, whatever reason. Both morphs are good. I prefer Curative Surge. Curative Surge, guys, the last second that this is active does the equivalent of 3 combat prayers on average. And if it crits, it'll be higher, but if you kind of average everything out, it's 3 combat prayers in 1 second instead of 1, right? So it can be absolutely crazy for heal checks, Sunspire Tombs, Cloud Rest, heal check, dungeons. Just realize if your targets are very mobile, sometimes you can have problems hitting them. Desync, and you'll be pointing your beam right at somebody and not getting any heals. I am told, I've used it quite a bit, but I'm told if you raise it up that people have had a lot of good luck. Don't point it into the ground, and that's the main issue. But I have also had people that tell me that no, they're not pointing it at the ground, and they still have issues with it desyncing. Certain fights, maybe it has to do with ping. I don't know, but it's not one I would use all the time for no reason. Some people do, and they do fine with it, but typically I wouldn't recommend it. It's also going to be hard to keep up the rest of your HOTS if you do that because it is a 4.5-second channel, but it's amazing when it's useful, okay? Rune Mend is okay for a single target burst heal if you need one. Honestly, though, I would just combat prayer most of the time, to be totally honest with you. Chakram shields, okay? So both of these morphs are great. Chakram of Destiny will generate Crux. Tidal Chakram will consume Crux. Both of these morphs are good. I really tend to run Tidal Chakram, but both are great. Arcanist Domain here. So Xena's Empowering Disc. Guys, they've changed this skill. Now it picks 6 people and gives them the buff. This is going to be great in dungeons, and it kind of sucks in trials now because like you're always going to be missing 2 DPS unless they wiggle in and out, and even then it's like so hard that we're probably going to find another source of providing that minor courage now unless they fix this. Fingers crossed. Ask me a question down in the comments, and I will pin something if it changes. But right now, Xena's is like, for trials. We might need a different skill. Apocryphal Gate. I like Fleet-Footed Gate. It's great for dungeons and just for keeping up with a group. It's also great in Cloud Rest. If you're kiting, you can pop in a group, drop heals, and then pop right out. It's pretty fun. It's not necessarily meta, but it's really fun to use. Healing Tides increase our healing done per active Crux by 4%. That's pretty huge. That's why we want to be generating Crux. Hideous Clarity. You stare too long to the abyss. You restore 225 magic and stamina whenever you generate Crux. We talked about generating Crux. Guys, also, if you are at max Crux, you can't generate more, okay? So if you're at 3 and you do something that would generate Crux, it doesn't count, okay? So that's why you have to continually consume and generate Crux for at least for that skill. Healing Tides, you can stay at 4 Crux, and that would be totally fine. Erudition. 18% recovery. It's even better than the Nightblade's 15%, okay? So great for recoveries, and then Intricate Rune Forms. So this just increases the benefit of all your shields by 10% while you have a Rune Form ability slotted. Just a great shield. That's all there is to it. But my personal go-to with this, guys, to be totally honest with you, is probably going to be either Shadow. I think it's probably going to be Shadow here. I really like Refreshing Path. It's going to provide those minor recoveries for our group, which we need to have somehow. And like I said, in a trial situation, we're not going to have it from Xena's Empowering Disc. If you're in a dungeon, probably going with Xena's Empowering Disc, going with something like that is probably the right move. If you're also in a dungeon and you're not worried about the group staying alive because you can heal them enough, you could also drop Winter's Embrace and probably grab some other utility from one of these other skill lines. Ultigen, many other things, right? We kind of already went through everything, so hopefully that's clear. But yeah, those are all of the options. Okay, now let's talk about how to set up our bar. Oops, did I grab the wrong skill? I did. I'm sorry, guys. I'm at Twisting Path here. Hopefully you guys picked up on that. All right, let me pop up the card here, and we'll take a look and kind of walk through it. Okay, so on the card, and you'll have to excuse me, it's over here, so I'll be looking at it. So on the card, on our front bar, guys, what are we going to be running? Well, we're going to be running Illustrious Healing. Illustrious Healing is the morph to choose. The other morph does not smart heal, meaning it'll pick the same 6 people and heal them every single time. And until they fix that, we can't recommend it. An amazing job by the folks and great work by the folks over at Healer's Haven for doing the research to figure that out. You really want to choose Illustrious Healing, not Healing Springs. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. Combat Prayer. Combat Prayer is our healing spammable. This is our go-to whenever we need heals, burst heals. We want to use Combat Prayer. Why? It provides Minor Berserk, which our group is typically counting on us to provide. It also provides Minor Resolve, which reduces their damage taken by about 5%. Again, everybody's expecting you to be doing these things, and it's a good heal, and it's a big area, a very long line, fairly wide. It's a great skill to have in general, so they never leave our bar, those 2 skills. Our first skill here, Refreshing Path, could be a good flex spot. You could also do Funnel Health, whatever else you want to put here, guys. Whenever you see drop down, typically on my cards, you can put anything you want there, guys. It's a flex spot. It's for you. Anything that you need to put there, use the flex spots. I do the drop down format so you know that, hey, this is a flexible skill. Whatever you need to put there, put there. Budding Seeds, amazing heal, provides a synergy for those inside of it. Always going to have this on our bar. It's just too good not to have on our bar. Our 5th skill here, we have all kinds of options. So One option, if you have somebody else, if you want to save on expensive potions, or if you want to reduce the complexity of your rotation, running something like Inner Light is going to provide us with our major criticals, so major savagery, major prophecy, and if we have a DK in group or somebody with a DK skill line running igneous weapons, we don't need to drink expensive potions. So then we can use tri-stat potions and not really lose anything. That can help us, especially in hard-hitting fights or fights where you have to block a lot or do other things on a healer, or if you're casting a lot of stamina costing heals, having tri-stat potions can really help keep you alive, keep your sustain up, and it's just a nice to have. And so dungeons, you might run this and just not have to worry about using expensive potions. It also provides us with a bit of max magicka, which provides us with extra, equivalent of weapon and spell damage, okay? Both from the skill itself and also from mage's guild passives. Other options here, if you're on the Restosaf skill line, of course, you could run Radiating Regen. Guys, Radiating Regen is great in dungeons. It's situational in trials. If everybody's spread out and running everywhere, yeah, it's great. But so many times I see healers spamming this when people are dying. If people are dying and their health is going down, do you really want to be using combat prayer? Okay, because Radiating Regen, it's not going to heal them for enough. And spamming it once they get the hot on them, it's doing what it's going to do. Spamming it more is not really going to do hardly anything. So combat prayer would be the way to go if you want to keep people alive. It's a giant line, guys. 20 meters is a long ways. You can hit people from probably further than you would think, so keep that in mind. And it's AoE, and it provides buffs, so that's your spamble, but Radiating Regen is good situationally. And then on a front bar, we're going to run Barrier. Now, typically we're running this just for the passives that will provide us with up to 10% increased magic recovery. It's amazing for our sustain, right? You can run either morph of this. The Reviving Barrier is best for heal checks or to keep your party alive. It provides them with a shield and a heal over time. Replenishing Barrier will provide you with ultimate generation back when using this ability, so you can cast it more often. Guys, as a healer, you rarely need to use Barrier to keep your group alive. It's really kind of like an oh shit button. If people are dead or dying or things have gone really wrong and you need to not heal for a second and get a res or something, you can pop your Barrier. But generally speaking, unless you're using it for, one of our sets, like running Pillager's Prophet, you're not casting Barrier. And if you are using Pillager's Prophet, you probably want to be casting Replenishing Barrier. And typically you would also, depends on your build, but a lot of times you would back bar this and you wouldn't actually have it on your front bar here. Okay, moving on to the back bar. Our Wall of Elements. Guys, we always want to have Wall of Elements. Keeping it down keeps our back bar enchantment procced 100% of the time. And no matter what we're running, we almost always want our back bar enchantment down. So just run this all the time. You just usually doesn't leave your bar. If you're light attack weaving or you're not worried about keeping that enchant down, yes, you can drop it, but those are kind of extreme situations. Usually you'll just have it down. Next up, we have Energy Orb. Energy Orb is a great heal over time, and the synergy is really good, especially for our tanks, okay? It provides a lot of recoveries for them. Next up after that, we have, of course, our Winter's Embrace. We've got Expansive Frost Cloak. Reduces everybody's damage taken by 10%. That's why we want the skill down. It's amazing. 10% is huge, so we want to keep that down. After that, we have also from the PvP skill line here, we have Echoing Vigor. And I'm sorry, the Energy Orb is from the Undaunted skill line. And then Echoing Vigor here is from the Assault skill line, PvP. And that just provides a sticky hot for our group. You do have to cast this twice in a trial to hit everybody, but in a dungeon, if you can get everybody in the same place, hit it once, and then if they move apart, the hot stays on them, okay? So it's a really good heal as long as you can hit people with it. If you're in a dungeon, or in a trial, you do want to cast this twice to make sure you hit everybody in your group. And it's just a really good heal over time. So typically it doesn't leave our bar. And also it's really nice to have at least one stamina costing skill on our bar, because otherwise our stamina sits there full and it's not doing anything. So we might as well have it there. And then our fifth skill up here. So we have a couple of options. One is from the Undaunted, Overflowing Altar. In any group, guys, dungeon or trial, you always want at least one person, and really only one person, running Overflowing Altar. The reason for this, let me expound upon the glories of Overflowing Altar. Whenever somebody takes a lot of damage, maybe they missed an attack, hard-hitting attack, and they should have blocked it, and they didn't, but they're not quite dead. Maybe they stood in red, and they're about to take a bunch of damage. Now, what happens is if they're someone who knows what's going on, they realize that, and they're going to be like, oh no, they need heals. Well, what will happen if their health goes low is that this synergy will pop up to the top of their list and they can hit it, instantly heal themselves for pretty much their full health, almost always. Okay? That is several seconds to quite a few seconds faster than you're going to be able to react. Okay? Because if what will happen is they take a bunch of damage. You have to see that. And even if you're watching their health, you see it. Now you need to locate that person, turn to them, make sure you're on the right bar, make sure you're casting the right skill, and then hit the heal. That's going to at least take you 2 seconds, okay? At the very minimum, it's going to take you 2 seconds, right? Because you saw it, but you were already casting a skill. So you can't do anything there. You got to make sure you're going to hit them. At least it's going to take 2 seconds. The synergy can be hit anytime. It's off global cooldown. So they can do it immediately, okay? That time when their health is low and it takes you 2 seconds to heal them, this is the difference between someone dying and someone staying alive, okay? So overflowing altar, somebody always needs to be running it. It's way too good. It's a huge area. Yes, it provides minor lifesteal. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't really move the needle, but it's an incredible skill. Somebody needs to be running it. Now, another option here would be from the Fighter's Guild skill line, which would be Ring of Preservation. And I'm sorry, sometimes I call this Circle of Protection because that's the base morph. This provides, so it's a stamina costing heal, it's a decent heal, and it provides minor protection as well as minor endurance. We're mostly concerned with the minor protection, reducing targets' damage taken by 5%. Certain fights, whenever there's heal checks and everybody's stacked, Maelstrom and Dreadcell Reef, plenty of other places, this can be a really good heal. Group needs to be organized. They need to be standing in one place for this to work. And realize that if you have multiple stamina costing, heals on your bar, you might need to change up your build or you might run low on stamina, but it's a really good skill. Anything else you want to swap out, this is a good option. This spot here is a good option. And then for our ultimate, guys, typically we're going to be running aggressive Warhorn. Now, as I mentioned, you could run a Colossus, you could run Storm Atro, but I think most of the time you're going to be running Warhorn on your back bar, depending on your group, depending on what the raid lead wants, but aggressive Warhorn is something you want to have, leveled up at least, and that's from the PvP skill line, from the Assault skill line. Let's talk about some really, really important scribing skills, okay? So first up is going to be Trample. Trample is from the Assault skill line. It is a scribing skill that what it does, the reason you want this is because the affix, your third option there, can be Major Heroism. Now, it's only for you, but Major Heroism generates a ridiculous amount of ultimate, guys. Ridiculous amount of ultimate. So if you're ever in a situation where you need more ultimate, Trample is absolutely the way to go. There are a lot of options. You can choose to add Minor Expedition. Here, since I'm on a Warden, I chose Frost so that we can hopefully keep up a little bit more brittle uptime, maybe if we're using an Ice Staff. There's a lot of options, but really the only thing that matters for Trample is the affix script, making sure that it provides that Major Heroism, and it's only to you. It's not going to provide it for anybody else, but it's massive if you need more ultimate. Another option from the Mage's Guild skill line is Olsild's Contingency. Now, if you choose the Shielding morph, Warden Contingency, this is really good in preparation for heal checks, but realize that if you choose the shielding version, you're not going to provide the rest of the buffs, your signature and affix scripts, buffs to the rest of the group, okay? If you choose the healing morph, you can provide those buffs to the rest of the group. So if there's a buff, usually an affix buff that you want, or the raid lead wants, that you'll have to choose the healing morph. Just keep that in mind. Other options here is going to be the Restoring Tether. The tether, guys, you can do so many different things with this tether. You can restore resources to the person on the other end. I've used this in certain situations whenever a tank is struggling for resources. You could put a heal on it if you want to keep another heal, particularly on your tank usually. You can also use it to keep up, minor courage, but you have to move back and forth across the group. They have to be stacked up for it. It's kind of a pain to use. It's a little bit hard to get it on person, a particular person, but it does work. It does work okay. So, those are really, I would say, like the three main healing skills that you might want to use. If you're interested in more of the, what you can do with scribing, I'm going to do a scribing specific video shortly after this one. So look for that to come out soon. Or if you're watching this a long time after, just give it a search on the channel and it should be there. All right, that's pretty much it for skills. A lot of stuff there, guys. I have not covered every skill you might want to use as a healer, okay? There are niche skills that you might want, but I just don't think they warrant talking too much about right now. Guys, that was a lot of info. I hope it was helpful. If it was, don't forget to hit the bell icon. If you have questions, come by a live stream, guys. I'm healing several groups, the hard modes, multiple times a week, and those live streams are a great place for you to come and ask questions. I'd love to help you out tell you whatever you need. And also, I do live streams where we talk about the recent meta changes and everything else. So come by if you ever have any questions or drop by the Discord. We'd love to have you. That's it for today. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you in the next one.